All right, top 10. We're just going to have to pick up the pace then. Brock Purdy.
Yeah, so I got Purdy at number 10. Not sure where Wiggs has him because I can't see, but Wiggs had him at 12. You know, man, is this listen, this guy is playing for less than $1 million. Just comprehend that. This guy hasn't San Francisco hit gold with this guy. Is he ever gonna, light up the world? Probably not, but geez, he threw for over 4,200 yards and 31 touchdowns last year. If they sign Ayuk, or if they keep Ayuk after this season, which there's a lot of question marks about that. I personally think he might go, but they drafted Ricky Parcell, who got injured now, so that gives them a little bit of leverage. So maybe they sign him. If Debo stays healthy, you got the best running back in the league, and McCaffrey. George Kittle is one of the is a top five, definitely top five, top 10 tight end. This guy's got all the weapons he needs, and the way that Shanahan uses his offense, he sets him up for success. So he's definitely a starter, and I can see this guy having a similar type year as he did last year. Might be a little bit of drop off, but let me tell you this: if Ayuk doesn't sign a long term contract with them, and he's playing on on his last year of his deal, and Samuel stays healthy, I can see Purdy blowing up and getting close to maybe 4,500 yards.
And he's got the weapons, like you said. Ayuk, Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey. That is like a bulk of your receiving on top of Kittle, too. Like, it's one of those offenses where if you don't perform, then you just look bad, in my opinion. Like, you have the weapons, utilize them. Um,
And Purdy set himself up to be one of those guys that he's gonna get a deal
yeah.
from somebody. He can't. I mean, listen, I'll take Brock Purdy over Trevor Lawrence any day of the week.
I agree 100%.
So if he doesn't get a deal with them, somebody else is going to give him a deal.
Yeah. Kirk Chains.
Yeah, so yeah, I had him at number 8. Wiggs had him at number 11. Had Cousins not got hurt last year, he was on pace
for over 5,000.
He would definitely could have had over 5,000 yards last year. I think he's gonna, he's proven to be solid. Yeah, he's 35 years old. Yeah, he's coming off an injury, but listen, he's got Drake London. He's got Kyle Pitts. He's got arguably, Bijan Robinson, top 5 running back for sure, if not the third best in the league. Darnell Mooney's proven himself to be a consistent receiver. Rondell Moore, so not to mention they've got Allegiar or whatever as the backup for Robinson. Kirk has got a lot of weapons, in Atlanta right now. I think Drake London and Kyle Pitts are going to have the best stat year of their careers this year with Kirk, as long as he stays healthy. Drake, I could see Drake London going for 1,500 yards. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I definitely can see Kyle Pitts going for over 1,000 yards. I mean, this year, Drake last year had 900 yards. And listen, him and Pitts were not used the way they were supposed to. I have no idea what the Arthur Smith was doing last year. Pitts is a freak of nature. You can line him up as a receiver. You line him up as a tight end. This guy just can go out and do everything. And I think he's going to have a career year along with Drake London.
Well, they're talking about using him at receiver now too.
So I really think that, as long as Cousins can stay healthy, Atlanta is going to be a team to watch this year.
Yeah, I agree. And Kyle Pitts is gonna have a nut like year. Like he's gonna be crazy, dude. We've seen what Cousins does with Hawkinson. Even with his tight ends back in Washington with I believe Logan Thomas at one point had a pretty good year there with Kirk Cousins as well. So Kyle Pitts should pop off this year. I think Drake London will have a good 12 to 1300 yards. I even think Darnell Mooney will be another guy that'll hit over 1,000 yards. I think three guys here on this team will receive for over 1,000 yards, and that may be a hot take. But if Cousins is fully healthy, like Drake London, 100% over 1,000, Pitts 100% over 1,000. I could even see Darnell Mooney over 1,000. He's done it once before when his quarterback was Mitch Trubisky. Like he's got the talent and I could totally see him doing it. Bijan will rush for over 1,000 yards. I think have probably another 500 in receiving. Like it's gonna be a really good year there for anyone on that Falcons offense. To move forward from Kirk Chains, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, so obviously Richardson got hurt last year. I think he played one game maybe last year.
Four.
No, he played 4 games. Uh, Here's my thing with Richardson. I'm really high on Richardson. I think this guy is going to be a tremendous quarterback in the league. He's only 22 years old. He's definitely got the legs. He can move it. He just needs to learn to protect himself. And I think every running quarterback, and this goes for Jaden Daniels this year as well, when they come out of college and into the pros, the one thing they need to learn is how to protect themselves when they run the ball. They got to remember you can't take those unwanted risks, of trying to get an extra yard or two and then, taking it and getting popped by a linebacker or safety or something. So I think if Richardson can stay healthy, which I fully expect he will, I think he's going to have a good year. Not only from a passing perspective, but from a running perspective. He's got Pittman as his receiver. Who else has he got? He's got
Pittman, Josh Downs,
Josh Downs,
Adonai Mitchell, who they drafted.
He's got Adonai Mitchell. They got Pierce, who's showing some sparks. Jaleel
Jonathan
Woods
Taylor.
is another good target at tight end. He's got Jonathan Taylor as his running back. So I think that Richardson is going to have a good year, probably around 3,000 yards. I could see him having maybe, around 500 yards rushing. I could see him throwing for 25 touchdowns and possibly running for another 5.
I would have ranked him higher if he showed more of a passing game last year. Like his completion percentage was pretty good throughout his 4 games that he played, but like I felt like he was trying to escape the pocket more than he needed to sometimes, and I don't know, extend plays too much, which I think hopefully he learned from last year. I think that's part of the reason he got hurt too, is because he was trying to do too much at times. And I think if he can just get a grasp on staying, more composed in the pocket and being relaxed, throwing the ball, that you'll have a pretty solid year. I think his rushing upside is a huge plus, especially in the red zone. I think honestly he could be someone like Josh Allen from a rushing standpoint. Once you get in that red zone, he's not only capable of throwing the ball, but you have to be aware of him running the ball because he could put up a lot of touchdowns rushing, and I think that's where a lot of his upside will come from, is the rushing aspect. In a sense, he kind of reminds me of Justin Fields too. Like I don't think he'll put up like a crazy amount of passing yards. Like I think he'll be around like the 32 to 3,500 range, but I could easily see him going for like 600 plus yards of rushing as well.
Yeah, he actually reminds me a lot of Josh Allen just from his size.
True, and he put on more weight this offseason too.
Yeah,
He
so
put
I
on some
think
muscle.
Richardson's got a lot, definitely upside.
I think there's a lot of upside, and I think he'll have a pretty great year. He's one of those guys I'm sold on, and I know you are as well. So, moving on, one of your favorites, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Listen, I know a lot of people out there are going to say, you got Mahomes ranked number 7? What are you guys
Oh, you got him at 6.
I had him at 6. Wiggs had him at 5. He ended up 7 on our list. Listen, yeah, did he throw for 4,100 yards last year and 27 touchdowns? Yes. Um, do I think he's going to do that again this year? No, I don't. I really don't. I think they've got a lot of challenges this year. I think they don't know how long Rashid Rice is going to be out. I think, yes, they got a couple rookie receivers that they drafted. Yes, they brought in Hollywood Brown. Yes, they got Travis Kelce. I really just think that Patrick Mahomes is not going, from a fantasy perspective, is not going to put up the numbers that he has in the past. I think last year was a good indication that other teams are catching up with him. He only threw for 4,100 yards. The last 3 years before that was 5,200 yards, 4,800 yards, and 4,700 yards. And then then in 2019 he threw for 4,000 yards, and then he threw for over 5,000 yards in 2018. I just think teams are catching on to him, and I just don't see him having the same kind of year. I think, will he be around 4,000 yards? Probably, maybe, but I think he's going to be around 3,800 yards myself. I think they're going to transform their offense a little bit different, at least at the beginning of the season. I think with Pacheco in there as their running back, I think that you're going to see a little bit more of that. Do I think Hollywood Brown is a decent receiver? Yes. Do I think Hollywood Brown is going to go crazy on San Francisco? No, I don't. Every year there's the flavor of the year at Kansas City where everybody thinks that this receiver is going to be great, and every year that's not what happens. Travis Kelce's getting up there in age. I believe Kelce's 36 years old this year. He's more worried about what's going on with TS than he is worried about football. I don't think Travis Kelce's going to have a productive year this year. That's just my opinion. And last year, Kelce, didn't even have 1,000 yards. He was at 980. I didn't feel that he had a great offseason. It wasn't a Kelce type season. And I don't expect that this year's going to be a Kelce type season. He's 34. I stand corrected. So I just don't see that their offense is going to have the big numbers like they have in the past. It's just my opinion.
I think Travis Kelce of the bunch that you said will still be roughly around the same with 900 plus yards and a decent amount of Mahomes' touchdowns. So Mahomes does have to throw to someone. It's going to be all reliable there in Travis Kelce. Now, I do agree with you on the Hollywood Brown standpoint. I don't think he's going to be as good as people think he's going to be on this offense. You look back at Hollywood Brown, he's only had one 1,000 yard season. That was with Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong, Lamar likes to run the ball, but Lamar is considered an elite quarterback. So, like, you would expect him to have a few more good seasons behind him, but he really hasn't had anything. And Hollywood Brown, like, I know we've talked, he was with this college quarterback the last few years. Don't get me wrong, injuries kind of took away from some of that, but he didn't do anything in Arizona either. So I think people are thinking too highly of him. Could he come out and have over 1,000 yards and have a great year? Yes, he could. Definitely, especially with Rice being suspended for anywhere from 6 to, I've heard, even 12 weeks of the year. Um, your only other competition really is Xavier Worthy, so we'll kind of see how it pans on out. Mahomes does have to throw to someone, seems to always have some sort of answer, have the yards behind it to have a good season, but I don't think he's any better than, honestly, I could even agree with the 7 spot right now with our averages, so I think we're pretty good with where we have them. Moving forward, we got Josh Allen up next.
Listen, I got Josh Allen ranked number 4. I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Wiggs had him at 7. He's number 6 on our list. Here, the biggest thing that concerns me with Josh Allen this year is they got rid of Stephon Diggs. They got rid of Gabe Davis. Yes, he's got James Cook in the backfield. Yes, they drafted a receiver. So who's his targets this year? They got
Keon Coleman.
they got Keon Coleman, who I think is definitely going to be a decent rookie. Shakir showed some spurts last year. Yeah, they got Curtis Samuel. Yes, they got Dalton Kincaid. They brought in MVS, from Kansas City. I don't know. I'm just nervous about Allen this year. He threw for 4,300 yards last year. He's consistently been over 4,300 yards for the past 4 seasons. Man, I'm really nervous. I don't know that he even makes it over 4,000 yards this year. Prove me wrong, Josh. I hope you do. I just don't. I just don't see it. I think Keenan Coleman is going to be a really good receiver in the league, but I just don't know that he's going to light up this year. It's always tough for a rookie to have a great rookie year. Um, I think out of all of his targets this year, the one that's probably going to benefit the most is Dalton Kincaid. I think that Allen is gonna be looking for him more. I think James Cook is going to have a bigger role in the passing game, so I can see them maybe transitioning over to a Tom Brady-ish type offense, where they spread the ball out to their tight ends and running backs a little bit more. They still have Dawson Knox as well, so I just don't think Josh is going to be lighting up the world this year. I mean, is he going to still rush? Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll probably be similar to years past. He's probably going to have over 500 yards. Wouldn't surprise me if he rushes. Last year 15 rushing touchdowns. That's crazy, to me. I don't think he's going to have 15 rushing touchdowns this year. I think he's going to have maybe somewhere around 7 or 8. So I think his numbers this year are going to actually fall off from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna fall off pretty decent. Like looking at his 4,300 yard performance last year, I think that's gonna drop to like 3,800. And then like I will agree with the 500 rushing yards. He's gonna have to do something with his feet from time to time, and I think he's gonna be around 6 or 7 touchdowns. He's consistently been around that range. So to me, having him at the 6th spot right now, honestly, is a safe bet. Maybe with those rushing touchdowns, if he gets a few more than I kind of expect, maybe he jumps up to like the top 4 range. But like you said, it's gonna be hard to really know with like his receiving core because Keon Coleman to me is the clear cut number one, even as a rookie receiver here. You look at everyone else in the team from Khalil Shakir to Scantling to even Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins, and Chase Claypool. You don't know what you're going to get from any of those, and that could go really any direction. It's kind of like it honestly reminds me of the Kansas City receiving core last year. You never knew what receiver was going to do what on any given week, and it really just came down to the rookie receiver. And I don't know, because you could have some good performances out of someone like Chase Claypool, who has shown with a good quarterback that he can play well. When he was with Roethlisberger, he had almost 1,000 yard season there, and he had 9 touchdowns. So for all we know, their number one guy could be Chase Claypool. So we don't really know what's going to happen from their offense. Kincaid will have a good year. James Cook will have a good year.